6 ways to stop escalating fights with your partner. We had a bad fight last night. I'm not even sure what we were fighting about, but it kept escalating and got really ugly. I don't know what to do when my wife starts in on me. No matter what I say, she's like a dog with a bone. I can't get to her to stop attacking me. I can tell by the look on his face that I'm in for it. My husband is relentless. When he is trying to have control over getting me to do something in his way, I hate it and I don't know what to do about it. I hear these statements over and over from my clients. Most people, when growing up, had no good role modeling regarding how to keep a fight from escalating. Most couples fight occasionally, and that's fine. Sometimes a good fight will clear the air of issues that haven't been resolved, and the fight may open the door to resolution. But too often fights escalate into ugliness, and this is very detrimental to a relationship. Issues can get resolved fairly quickly and easily when both partners are open to learning about themselves and each other, and finding a win-win resolution. However, if one or both of you are intent on controlling, which is generally the case with anger and blame, no win-win resolution can occur. Sometimes, if one person is angry and the other person stays open to learning, the angry partner will calm down and you can then discuss the issue. Here are 6 healthy ways of keeping a fight from escalating. 1. Touch your partner with gentleness and compassion. If you know that your partner is the kind of person who responds to loving touch, then reaching to touch or hug your partner might bring about a softening. However, some people will resist being touched when they are triggered into their anger and blame. So if you know this about your partner, this is not a good strategy. 2. Use humor. Sometimes, if the disagreement hasn't gone too far, lightly saying something like, "I bet if you yell just a little louder, you can have control over me," or putting on some music and saying, "Let's dance," may jog your partner out of a wounded place and into laughter. Sometimes just laughing and saying, "Here we go again," can do wonders. Of course, this depends on how determined your partner is to fight with you and control you. If you know ahead of time that this is likely to enrage him or her more, then clearly it's not a good thing to try. 3. Listen attentively and move into a compassionate intent to learn. Sometimes your partner just needs to be heard. If you listen with genuine interest and ask questions from a real desire to learn about why he or she is so upset, this might calm your partner down enough to talk about the issue. You might want to say something like, "I'm interested in hearing you and understanding what you are upset about, but I have a hard time listening when you are so angry. Can you tell me the same thing without an attack?" However, if you are open and your partner remains closed and continues to attack and blame, then you need to do something else. Staying in the line of fire will likely eventually escalate the fight. 4. Speak your truth and move into compassionate intent to learn. Saying something like, "It hurts me and scares me when you treat me like this. I love you and I want to connect with you. Can we talk about this instead of fighting about it?" may open the door to learning and resolution. Or saying something like, "It sounds to me that you are trying to control me. Is that your intent? Might give your partner a moment of pause. However, when your partner is in a wounded state, he or she might not care about the fact that their behavior is hurting you, or that they just want to control you. In fact, when people are in a scared or wounded state, they might want to hurt you or feel justified in trying to control you. When this is the case, then one of the next two ways. 5. Speak your truth and then lovingly disengage. Speaking your truth means saying something like, "It's not okay with me to be treated like this, so I'm going for a walk," or going in another room. Then you need to lovingly disengage, which means leaving to take care of yourself, not withdrawing in anger to punish your partner. The point of lovingly disengaging is to get out of the line of fire and take care of your own feelings, such as the loneliness and the heartache of being treated badly, and the helplessness you feel over your partner's behavior. By keeping your heart open and compassionately tending to your own feelings, you will be ready to let it go and re-engage, or explore the conflict if your partner eventually opens to learning with you. 6. Remain silent and lovingly disengage. Sometimes saying anything fuels the flames of a fight, so it may be best to not say anything at all, just walk away. In order to lovingly disengage, you need to let go of believing that there is something you can say or do what will get your partner to be open and kind. If you've tried to compassionately engage with your partner and he or she remains angry and blaming, then you need to accept that there is nothing you can do to get your partner to open. Accepting your helplessness over your partner may be challenging for you. Your partner likely knows exactly what to say to trigger your hurt and anger, and then the two of you go at it. The reason fights escalate is because each partner is trying to control the other, rather than accept their lack of control and take loving care of themselves. It's a big challenge to accept helplessness over another, but when you fully accept it, then you are free to take loving care of yourself and do whatever you need to do to not escalate the fight, and to then compassionately tend to your own feelings. Consistent sleep-wake times linked with lower body fat levels. Having a consistent bedtime and wake time are not just a matter of practicing good sleeping hygiene. A new study shows they could also be good for your weight. Researchers from Brigham Young University found an association between having a consistent sleep and wake time and less body fat among young women. Plus, getting too little sleep at night, fewer than 6.5 hours, or too much sleep at night, more than 8.5 hours, was linked in the study to increased body fat. Meanwhile, young women who got between 8 and 8.5 hours of sleep a night had the lowest body fat. We have these internal clocks, and throwing them off and not allowing them to get into a pattern does have an impact on our physiology. Study researcher Bruce Bailey, an exercise science professor at the university, said in a statement, "For the study, published in the American Journal of Health Promotion, researchers monitored sleep and physical activity of 330 women between ages 17 and 26 for 1 week using actigraphy. They also measured the women's body fat. Researchers found that the consistency of sleep and wake time was associated with body fat of the study participants, particularly having variation of more than 90 minutes of sleep and wake time was linked with higher body fat, compared with people who had variation of fewer than 60 minutes of sleep and wake time. Wake time seemed to be more linked to body fat than sleep time. An association was also found between sleep quality, meaning the amount of time actually spent in bed sleeping, and lower body fat. U.S. homelessness drops third year in a row. Washington: The number of homeless people in the U.S. declined for a third straight year, helped by sharp drop-offs in veteran and chronic homelessness, according to a government survey released Thursday. More than 610,000 people were homeless at the time of the count, on a single night in the last week of January. That was down from 633,782, or a 4% drop from the previous year, according to the survey by the Housing and Urban Development Department. The study counted people in 3,000 cities and counties. The number of homeless veterans stood at 57,849, down nearly 5,000 or 8% from the previous year. The number of chronically homeless people declined 7% to 92,593. The number of people in homeless families fell 7% to 222,197, according to the report. HUD Secretary Sean Donovan attributed the drop in part to increased participation among veterans and others in a government voucher program that helps pay housing costs. He cautioned that proposed federal budget cuts to housing programs could undermine the progress in reducing homelessness. Since 2010, the total number of homeless people had dropped 6% from 649,917. Nearly two-thirds of those experiencing homelessness were living in emergency shelters or transitional housing programs, while the remainder lived on the streets, under bridges, in cars or in abandoned buildings, the survey found. 5 states, California, New York, Florida, Texas, and Massachusetts, accounted for more than half of the homeless population. Roughly 20 states, including California and New York, posted increases in the past year despite the national decline in homelessness. We're making real and significant progress to reduce homelessness in this country. And now is not the time to retreat from doing what we know works, Donovan said. Philippines recovery can learn from 2004 tsunami. The man who steered Indonesia to recovery after the 2004 tsunami has some cautionary words for the Philippines as it begins planning reconstruction after Typhoon Haiyan. Survivors will get angry about living in tents well before permanent houses are ready, and inflation will soon make those houses much more expensive to build. His advice: start working now and get survivors involved in the process. Please prepare warehouses now all over the region and fill them with construction materials, said Kuntoro Mankusubroto, who headed a special creative powerful government agency tasked with coordinating more than $7 billion in aid that flowed to the country after the disaster. Fix prices now. The Indian Ocean tsunami killed about 230,000 people in a dozen countries. Indonesia's Aceh province was the worst-hit area, accounting for about half the deaths. Much of the provincial capital, Banda Aceh, was leveled. Aceh's reconstruction didn't always run smoothly, especially during the first year, but it is now almost universally regarded as successful. Around 130,000 houses were built in less than 3 years, along with scores of airports, roads, and schools. It was the biggest construction project in the developing world. These days, the only sign that Banda Aceh was the epicenter of an appalling disaster are two ships carried miles inland by the giant waves. They are now popular and well-managed attractions on the tsunami tourism trail in the city. There are lessons to draw from the 2004 tsunami and from more recent, and more criticized, construction efforts after disasters in Japan and Haiti. The Philippines also has much experience of its own recovering from typhoons and other disasters. A full assessment of the damage caused by the typhoon has yet to be carried out. There were far more deaths in Aceh. The Philippines government said Wednesday that the typhoon killed more than 4,000 people and left 1,600 missing. But experts say the scale of the reconstruction needed in the Philippines looks broadly comparable with that in Aceh. Like Indonesia in 2004, the Philippines has functioning national and local governments with committees, educated employees. Foreign countries are more likely to help if they can see efforts being made to spend money well. Just under 2 weeks since the typhoon, saving lives and providing emergency aid are still the main focus. Corpses are still being collected from beneath the debris, but in a week or two authorities will start transitioning into an early recovery phase and planning how best to rebuild the estimated 320,000 destroyed houses. It's never too early to start talking about it, said Nancy Lindberg, the Assistant Administrator of the U.S. government's aid arm. What's very important is to move as quickly as possible, so you enable people to start thinking about the future. Philippine Interior Minister Mar Rosac said authorities were already considering whether to put people in tents or bunkhouses. In Aceh, authorities built 24 wooden barrack-style complexes for survivors, but they were not popular, often located far from the original villages of the residents or their workplaces. Aceh managed to build just 16,000 permanent houses in the first year after the tsunami. Spiking construction costs were one problem. Inflation hit 41% at one point as massive amounts of money chased limited supplies. Another complicating factor likely to be seen in the Philippines was that land titles and government records were destroyed. It was almost impossible, said Mancuso via telephone from Jakarta. People shouldn't have to live in tents for more than 6 months. It causes social tension. It will likely take months to even decide where to build, or what safety standards to use, because the government and affected communities will need to work together to come up with the right answers. In Aceh, authorities initially banned construction close to the sea, but this was shelved as in particle because the province relies on fishing. We have to make sure that these buildings are not built in unsafe areas, said Nathaniel von Amsdale, the chairman of an urban development consultancy firm. We don't want to commit the same mistake that may have contributed to the severity of the destruction in the first place. The Philippine government said about $320 million in foreign aid has been pledged to the relief effort. That's far less than the $7 billion Indonesia received after the tsunami, the most generous response ever to a natural disaster. But that massive amount of money created its own complications. Some of the more than 180 aid agencies that flocked to Aceh took on projects they were not qualified for or duplicated other schemes. Some families got a house they didn't need, or in a place where they didn't want to move to. Others got more than one. Today, empty, rotting houses aren't hard to find. Another lesson from Aceh: giving cash to disaster survivors, either in a grant or in exchange for projects such as cleaning debris, is effective and popular. Expect to see those schemes used widely in the Philippines. Old-school development thinking shied away from handing out money, partly out of fears it would be squandered. Studies by aid agencies and academics have shown that that is not the case. Success in Aceh contrasted with stuttered reconstruction efforts in Japan following the 2011 earthquake and disaster, where more than half of the 470,000 people were either lost their homes or were evacuated from the close to the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant have yet to be permanently resettled. Ample funds have gone unspent due to legal and bureaucratic obstacles to rebuilding and shortage of construction workers. The aftermath of the Haiti earthquake in 2010 has also been troubled. The capital is awash in new construction, but the International Organization of Migration says nearly 200,000 people are still living in makeshift settlements. The international community pledged $5.4 billion to help Haiti, but only about half has been delivered to date. The Philippines is poor, but its governance structures are stronger than those in Haiti. Aid groups will have less money to spend than after the 2004 tsunami. But coupled with Philippine government funds, the loans from agencies like the World Bank, many experts and aid workers are optimistic that the region will recover. I think it would be disappointing if we come back in 4 years' time and people are worse off than what they were coming to this, said Michael Delaney. who leads Oxfam America's humanitarian 92-year-old woman fights off home intruder by kicking him in face. As the saying goes, don't mess with Texas. And as the saying might go now, don't mess with 92-year-old woman from Texas. One night last week, Opal Phelps, 92, was asleep in her Jasper County, Texas home when a masked man broke in, woke her up, and demanded for $20. The feisty woman told KHOU.com that she wasn't scared and that she told the thief she didn't have any money. He tried to make me shut up, but he didn't have no luck at it, Phelps said. The man then ordered her to put on her shoes. He had a hold of my leg trying to put them shoes on, and they hard to get on, and I just took my other foot and kicked him right in the face, Phelps said. She then did a quick look about the room to see what she might use to fend him off. She grabbed the live alert monitor on her nightstand. Hitting a button, the intruder quickly fled the scene, but not before sweeping a gun she kept near her bed. Police have yet to locate the suspect. I'm going to stay here, I told the cop I was getting me another gun, Phelps said. He says get it. I'm going to use it next time, I think. The story is just more proof that one should never underestimate the resourcefulness of older people. Last year, another older woman from Texas, Margaret Jackson, became something of a YouTube celebrity after fighting off a prospective burglar with a barbecue fork. You go girls. Dad goes to pick kids up from school, gets arrested instead. A Tennessee parent was arrested last week after complaining about the student pick-up policy at his children's school. Video of the incident, posted online Saturday, shows Dad Jim Howell getting arrested for disorderly conduct at South Cumberland Elementary School. The footage, recorded by Howell's fiancée, had more than 110,000 views on YouTube as of Wednesday afternoon. As explained in a clip, the school recently instituted a new pick-up policy that asks parents to wait in a line of cars before their children are released from school. Howell, however, felt the line of cars caused safety issues. The video states the policy causes traffic to be backed up over a mile on a busy highway. He walked into the school to pick up his children and speak out about the guidelines. Howell appears composed throughout the video, as he calls the county sheriff to complain. However, the school resource officer, who according to the local outlet WATT TV is also a sheriff's deputy, seems agitated by both Howell's desire to involve in the sheriff and his continued grievances. I'm going to take you up to the jail, School Resource Officer Avery Ives tells Howell. I'm telling you right now, I'm not putting up with this today. You go ahead and record all you want. You're being childish and it's uncalled for. I'm not raising my voice. I'm not confrontational. I'm confrontational. I want my kids, Howell tells the officer. The video ends with Howell's arrest. However, some say the video doesn't tell the whole story. Donald Andrew, the director of Cumberland County Schools, told the Huffington Post the clip was edited to portray Howell in a more favorable light. In that situation, quite honestly the officer that handled that showed quite a bit of restraint," he added.